King Henry VIII was mostly known for his 6 wives, forming a whole new religion just so he could divorce, and for desperately wanting a male heir, though it didn't go exactly according to plan. In this video, we are him. For the things we don't have any control over, we will make decisions as him. And for the things we do have control over, well, let me share with you what our main goals are for his lifetime of reign. We're going to get married 6 times. Now, his wives all suffered the following fates: divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. Now, we can't control everything, so we're going to try to at least get one of those things done. So, at least 1 death, at least 1 divorce, at least 1 beheading, and at least 1 person who survives. Secondly, we're gonna found a new religion, the Church of England, just like King Henry VIII did. Next, we're gonna have some parties because King Henry VIII liked to live it up, so we're gonna have at least 1 grand wedding, some feasts, and who knows what else. Our final goal is to start at least 1 unproductive war if nobody starts a war with us, and otherwise it is to survive any war that is coming our way. While we are trying to reach these goals, I will also tell you guys some fun and maybe not so fun facts about King Henry VIII. This is the 17-year-old Henry VIII. That's how old he was when he became king. We have several traits for him. First of all, gregarious. King Henry VIII was a real piece of work, but one thing that is true for him is that he was actually quite charismatic, and a lot of people in his court really liked him. Later on, it became worse and he became tyrannical, but before that, he actually was quite charming. Now, Henry loved to indulge himself, and he was really into fashion, but also food, and he really loved throwing parties and eating, especially in the later years. And he always served lots of different foods, and a lot of food, and loads of wine, so the gluttonous perk really suits him. Henry was also known for having affairs, not really sure how many, but he definitely loved the ladies, so lustful kind of speaks for itself. He was also stubborn, even more so in his later years, but really throughout his life he was stubborn and did what he wanted. Arrogant also suits him. First of all, fun fact, he thought, or he claimed that he was the descendant of King Arthur, though this was more for like political reasons. It wouldn't surprise me if he actually believed it or wanted to believe it. And also because he thought himself the only power over religious and political matters, and the treatment of his wives as well is all proof that he was quite arrogant. But he was also very intelligent and quite a strategist, so I've added those as well. Since we're in England and it's 1066, we start with the Battle of Hastings. So I was immediately thrown in war with not 1, but 2 leaders, and I was heavily outnumbered. Now, when I started this, I thought it was going to be fine, that I would have enough people and everything was honky-dory, but it wasn't. And this is actually my 2nd Henry, because I never got past the war. Actually, just like in real life, I lost that war. And I couldn't get past it, so I made a new Henry, and that is why you will see extra traits and things that I have to ensure that I would win these wars. So we win, and I can finally sigh with relief. And the only reason that we won is because I married someone who would help me form an alliance. So we officially have our very first wife. To manipulate things a little bit, I chose a woman with the infertile trait because I want him to, if we can, divorce her. Just like the very first woman, Catherine of Aragon. He was married to her for a long time though, until his 40s, early 40s. So we're gonna see how long we can last. In the meantime, we are trying to get a lot of piety so that we can change the religion. Now that I've saved enough money, we are going on a pilgrimage. We're gonna say hi to the Pope, tickle him, high-five him, and then go back home. But the Pope's not the only one we're gonna tickle, because I meet a beautiful young lady and we're gonna sleep with her because I'm Henry VIII. And even though I have extramarital relations during my pilgrimage, we complete it successfully. And on our way home from our pilgrimage, where I had an extramarital affair, I come across a beautiful woman and take her home and make her my lover. Because I'm Henry VIII. Now I make this woman my spy master, and she sends me letters calling me Dear Sunshine, and I think it's adorable. And while my wife is being a sweet, supportive wife, I think back to a woman I coveted, and I still dream about her, and I try to find her. Because I'm Henry VIII. And then my spy master and lover gives birth to a daughter. In secret, because, you know, she's my lover. And while this lover, who's just given birth to our child, is looking for the woman I want to have nookie with, well, we find out that it's too much effort, and I say no thank you. Then, because I'm so charismatic, I get invited for a hunt that I join to, you know, relax, make some friends, gain prestige, and it is quite successful. My lover, who is snooping around the Vatican, finds out that one of the bishops is a cannibal. Yeah! As we travel, I discover that my physician has a crush on a woman, and I decide I want her, because I'm Henry VIII. And while I join a grand wedding, my lover gives birth to another daughter. And straight after that, I romance my next lover. You already know why. On my next pilgrimage, I see a happy family omen, and I can choose to read into it that I will have a child soon. The happy family becomes a little less happy because my wife actually gets typhus and gets sick. Then my lover is exposed, my second lover. My wife is upset and wants me to break it off with her, but I don't because my lovely queen hasn't given me a son, so I need to be a dirty bastard with backup plans. And then my first lover is upset as well, for the same reason. But I need to think about the future, so I keep my lover, and then my wife dies. She did. And immediately after, my first lover is pregnant. And then wants to become a nun. What an eventful pilgrimage. So when I get home, I want to marry my second lover, but I find out that she's actually already married and her husband hates me. So I do what any normal man would do in my situation. I plot his murder. Yeah, boy. My nun lover finds out that the Pope is having an affair with a very young and beautiful woman. But okay. So my hopefully soon wife-to-be gives birth to a son. And I choose to keep it a secret for now, but this is quite good. And also quite realistic because Henry VIII did have a son by one of his lovers, and he was in a process of legitimizing this bastard when he died. Oh crap, I've jinxed it now, haven't I? My secret comes out 0.3 seconds after she's given birth, and then I serve a delicious meal to her hubby. A lovely duck with some arsenic. Completely excited by the prospect of marriage, I find out that her liege won't let her get married to me. As I'm contemplating my next move, I learn that I have the nickname The Fox. What does the fox say? I want a son! Apparently. Anyway, I realize that I can elope with Kundo, so that's the plan that I set in motion. No matter who I piss off, I will do this, because I'm Henry VIII. And we officially have a second wife, and apparently also another child. She's got the gambler trait, so I guess she's played too many bets on the spinning tops with her friends. It's a girl, so for my reign, it's not the worst thing in the world, but because we eloped, her child still belongs to her former liege. And that's kind of effed up, but okay. All is well though, because my wife is pregnant. But then gets sick. And so do I. But I immediately get better, and then my wife gives birth to a son. Now I'm gonna do this in chronological order. So his first son was Henry Fitzroy. So I'm gonna name this boy Henry Fitzroy, which was the boy that he had with his lover, who then died, unfortunately. If we get a second son, I will name him after his second son. Okay, I have jinxed it. My son now also has consumption. I don't like this. Now, because King Henry VIII had such bad luck with producing a male heir, but also, like, having children who survived, it started to become a real sore spot for him. But instead of, you know, being a good person about it, he blamed all of the wives, which is ironic because he was actually the one who most likely had McLeod syndrome, which affects fertility. And it's like this game knows what we're doing. This is... okay. Well, there you go. Very fitting, but sad. My wife immediately falls pregnant though, and I write a beautiful poem to my son. Unfortunately, Henry VIII really is cursed because his pregnant wife dies. See, I'm telling you, this game knows what we're doing. Alright, so we've now had 2 dead wives, so now that means we need to get at least a divorce, at least a beheading, and we need someone to survive. I pick this woman so that we will get an alliance, and she accepts. But I really need to use my eyes better because it turns out she's a ruler, so she doesn't actually live with me, which will make producing an heir a little bit tricky. So I requested the Pope for a divorce and see if he would accept, and he did. Now this was a short marriage, but it kind of reminds me of Henry's 4th wife. He was looking for a wife, asked him to bring a bunch of paintings, just like Tinder, swipe, swipe, swipe. Then he saw Anne, and he said, okay, want her. Then she showed up, he said she looked like a horse, not to her face, and they got annulled. Technically annulled, not divorced, but there you go. And that was kind of like what this marriage was, except that distance was the problem. Anyway, as you noticed, I got another wife very quickly, and now I'm holding a feast to celebrate our marriage. Hopefully this one will be the best one yet. We then complete our final pilgrimage, and that allows us to make our own religion. And so we create the Church of England. The most important thing is obviously that we can get a divorce, but I also made it so that people of the clergy can get married, which is something that King Henry VIII actually did as well. I chose literalism as a tenet because King Henry VIII was actually quite into religion until it didn't serve him anymore, and he was still into religion, but he just tweaked it to his liking. We also added the communion tenet and sacred childbirth, which is kind of a nod to all of the losses that he has suffered. And of course I also made myself the head of the religion. And pretty much right as I do that, the Pope declares war on me. Bring it! Because I'm Henry VIII. Amidst all of that, it was my birthday and my wife threw me a surprise party. And I ate the most. Then there is a dead infectious body that I kind of fling towards the Pope. Because sharing is caring. And apparently he was thinking the same thing, so there you go. Now, this does not look good, but we're just gonna go for it. I am Henry VIII, so I've got that going for me. In the meantime, we need to think about our next wives. We have a quota to fulfill. So I'm looking at fabricating a hook so that we can actually imprison her and then, you know, off with her head. I feel bad for her, but I also feel bad for King Henry VIII's real wives. Anyway, someone wants me dead, so I get increased security. And then I get ready for my bitch fight with the Pope. My spy master puts in motion some nasty rumors of my wife, and we have our first battle. And while I'm fighting for my life, I try to figure out my wife so that I can fabricate a hook and manipulate the people. It says that she's described as both sensible and miserable, which seems kind of fitting for someone who's married to King Henry VIII, but okay. She also seems like she really loves her friends, which I just feel so sorry for her. The war progresses nicely and we have won all of our battles so far. And since things are going well, you know what that means. I get typhus. And after the dog puts some leeches on me, we lose our next battle and then we beat typhus. But someone else declares war on us. Then the Pope dies, but the war continues. And after a lot of sweat and tears and ice cream, we finally defeat the Pope and win the Crusade. Of course, I'm still dealing with another war that is not going too well, and then somebody else also declares war on me. Then my wife gets pregnant, so I guess I can keep her around a little bit longer. You know, if anyone heard me say any of these things that I say in this video, they would think I'm crazy. But no, I'm Henry VIII. Then my wife gets sick, and we lose one of the wars. My bad luck doesn't end there because I also get ill. Then I feel a little bit better because I have a good doctor. And I have a son. I name him Edward, just like King Henry VIII's second son, who unfortunately did not live long after his death. He only made it to 15. And since I'm sick and getting older, I need to move on with my plan. So I use the hook that I have to imprison my wife. Right after that, I noticed that one of my guests is flirting with me. So I take her up on that offer, of course. Finally and luckily, we win our final war. And that concludes a new goal that we have achieved. Anyway, it's Christmas, so I imprison my wife and then I behead her. I feel sad about it, but I have goals to achieve, so Merry Christmas! I marry my guest, who is a drunkard, and we have a grand wedding to celebrate our new love. She gives me a lock of her hair and I give her something in return because King Henry VIII was actually quite generous towards his wives as long as he was in love. But once he was out of love, then he could be quite cruel. And this happened a lot quicker the older he got. Like he was only married for like a few years tops after his first wife. That was probably also because he had a wound from when he fell off a horse. He was unconscious for 2 hours. He had a wound and that later reopened, or either way bothered him. There was pus and things were oozing and his doctors didn't know what to do. And that's when he became really overweight. So overweight that actually the people in his court used padding to sort of look like him and make him feel better. Anyway, then I'm feeling very vengeful, so I plot Countess Mariana's murder. Cheerio, Countess Mariana. I then found the Holy Order, and that also means that the Knights Templar are created, which is pretty cool. Then I got a heart attack because I thought I got the message that my son had died, but that didn't happen. It was actually something joyous, namely his first steps. So thank fudge cake. And soon after I get another cute message about his first teething and I can actually keep his tooth, which gives me prestige. Then my wife gets sick and she dies. So far we have had 3 dead wives, we've divorced 1, we've beheaded 1, so we just need 1 more wife who will survive. So we quickly find our new and final wife. And even though we've completed pretty much all of our goals, I still declare war on Wales because why not? But before I can properly do anything, I die. And thus ends the great Henry VIII. My son is eager to fill my boots and he completes the war for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you subscribe, I put your soul in a jar on my desk. Don't worry, I occasionally feed it cookies.